Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Sargent number 42. This is a 40 series mortise cylinder, and really nothing very uncommon about it, except that it is a black suede powder coat, BSP. Okay, BSP. This is a 40 series mortise cylinder. This is, let's dissect the part number. First of all, it's an LA. That is Sargent's standard, what would be considered their common standard keyway. LA. The digits that are on there would be a reference to the bitting on the key. That's what's called direct code. When you can look at the head of the key or the bow of the key and see that information on there, it's a direct code. That is helpful for people in the locksmithing industry to know what they're dealing with. You can do, in an 1.25" cylinder from Sargent, you can do any of their keys. They're standard, LA, all of the different variants of unprotected, non-patented, not high security, regular run-of-the-mill stuff. You can do their degree system. You can do all other high security material on an 1.25" cylinder. You can't do that necessarily on a 54 cylinder. That's a 2 3/4 long cylinder. The special high security stuff or the restricted material might stop at about 1.5" long cylinder. Don't quote me, but there is a limit. It may be 2 inch. There is a link below this video to the product catalog, and that will allow us to look closely at this as well. So the LA in the part number is the keyway. The 42 is the length. You can see from that product catalog, that's 1.25". Mortise cylinders are measured from the underside of the head to the back of the cam, 1.25". Okay. Also, in the part number is 101 in what we are showing here, and 101, according to Adams Wright, is under their, on page 2 of the product catalog, their miscellaneous cam. That's an Adams Wright cam. We're using this on literally an Adams Wright product, so we wanted that tiny little cam. The fact that it's askew at that certain degree does not affect the construction of the lock whatsoever. Other cams are listed there. Their standard cam is that 130664, but you can find other cams required for their conventional cylinders, the ones that have the 2 screws on the back to hold it on. There's interchangeable core, their large format material, which is constructed at the factory. You can't pull those cams off. So be sure to order the proper cam accordingly. You can see that your Schlage is there, that your standard cam is there. Like if you had a key switch on a wall, you'd need a standard cam most likely. Really nothing preventing you from trying to make your own cam. And what I mean is I had ordered, believe it or not, a couple of 54 length cylinders. Well, I ordered them with 101 cams, but the factory shipped them with the standard cam. So I needed to get on those cams and grind them down. It wasn't a problem, but the more you try to modify other cams, you generally find that you'll have some success. If you needed to stick, an arrow cam on the back of a Sargent cylinder for whatever reason, I would expect you would have some success in making all that work. Obviously, Sargent is not going to endorse that, but I've modified cams countless times to make a square peg fit in a round hole. It's the way the world was built. So the rest of that, page 2 of the product catalog will show you those other cams. The 40 series mortise cylinders run from a size 1.125" to a 3" 41, 42, 43, 44, and you can so on from the length of the from that table that's there. Made of solid brass with a 1 5/32 diameter, standard thread type for a mortise cylinder. Cap made of brass, bronze, or stainless steel. Furnished with the standard 97 rosette, they call it a rosette, and compression spring. It's a cylinder collar with a spring in there. Okay, your cylinder is going to go right inside of there, and that spring will keep the collar tight on the face of the door. Optional collar spacers are available when ordered separately. Refer to that product catalog for that information. They can make cylinder guards. They can give you cylinder trim rings as well. I rely on Sargent to supply me with an unusual cylinder guard length I need for an unusual application that I do, that I have to have a specific cylinder length, but I'm only permitted to enter the lock a very specific amount. And therefore what's left over is a special size. And Sargent obliges my requests for those custom cylinder lengths. Other cams available, we talked about that. 6-pin is standard, and LA is going to be a standard 6-pin. 6 cuts on the key, drilled 6, pinned 6. If you want to go to a 7-pin, you can, but 42, the 1.25 inch, is the smallest size to do it in. A 41, which is 1 1/8 inch, you are not permitted to do that on. It's too small, too short. Unless otherwise noted, you're going to get a 1306/64 standard cam. We talked about that. Lots of finishes. US 3 for polished brass, US 4 for satin brass, and I'm looking at the product brochure. US 9 for antique brass, US 10 for satin brass, US 10B for oil rub bronze, 10BE for a powder coated oil rub bronze. They have a 10BL, and that is a A 10BL finish is going to be, I believe it to be a darker version of a powder-coated bronze. Oh, okay, it's not. It's dark oxidized satin bronze clear-coated. So it's a oil rub bronze with a clear coat over it. That's kind of neat. They also have 15 for satin nickel, 20D. That is a, I have to look at the cheat sheet again. 20D is a dark statutory bronze that's been lacquered. That is going to be a very dark bronze. The word statutory versus oxidized. Statutory is going to be more uniform and darker. Then it has a clear coat over it. It's not black, but it's more elegant than black, in my opinion. It's to be a very dark, clear-coated, so it'll have a reflection sheen to it. 32 for polished stainless, 32D for satin stainless, BSP Black suede powder coat. That's the one we have here. They're powder coating it, which means you're going to lose definition on whatever information's on the face of the cylinder, and you can see Asa Abloy, but you really can't make out Sargent because they came across a bit heavy with the powder coating on the face of that cylinder plug, the face of that mortise cylinder. You want black, it's going to be powder coated, and that's how they'll do that. Plug finishes are in 4 or 15. This is in 4 finish. That is a satin brass. You can also get a nickel finish. 4 would be typical for a dark finish like this. You're only going to get 2 options when it comes to a cylinder plug. It's either a chrome or a brass, in satin in both. And that's all. There will never be a black plug. They can't powder coat that, even though you really can't powder coat it. Powder coating does leave a discernible thickness of material, and these moving parts would not permit it. I suppose if you dip that plug face in silicone and exposed only the face of it, but then filled the broach of the cylinder plug with silicone as well, you could get some powder coat on there, but it's never going to happen from a factory. The machining tolerances are so tight on a plug and a cylinder housing that it doesn't permit any plating. It has to be raw brass. Those dimensions are incredibly tight, and they're that way for a reason, obviously, to maintain the integrity of the cylinder. That covers everything on the product catalog. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page, where you can pull up not only all of the Sargent products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's page, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I'm partial to Sargent, and it's because of the quantity of solutions that they have when it comes to hardware. The quality of their lock is exceptional. I've called their technical support time more times than I can, technical support department more times than I can recall, and they're exceptionally able to help. And that's the only way to survive when you have a product line as diverse as the Sargent product line, whether it be lock sets or door closers or exit devices or any of the other ancillary products that they make. Any questions on the Sargent? This is their 42 mortise cylinder or any other Sargent product. Please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.